All you lies, they're visible now.
She sent her top accountant into the company I built, positive I was hiding assets. "Find it all!" she yelled. I just waited. His face went pale when he opened the server's backup logs. He turned to her and whispered, "Ma'am, you might want to sit down." That's how it started. Or maybe that's how it ended. Depends on your perspective, I guess. Either way, that moment in the conference room, watching Harold Pierce's expression shift from confident to horrified, that's when I knew the game had changed. Let me back up. My name is Daniel Keller. Dan. I'm 43, I've been coding since I was 12, and I co-founded a data analytics firm called SignalVista 8 years ago with my wife, Olivia. Or, I should say, my soon-to-be ex-wife. The divorce papers arrived 6 weeks before Harold showed up with his briefcase and his self-important air. SignalVista wasn't huge, but it was successful. Mid-sized. We did predictive analytics for retail chains, helped them figure out what customers wanted before the customers knew it themselves. Creepy stuff, if you think about it too hard, but profitable. Very profitable. Olivia was the face, the charismatic one. She did the conferences, the media interviews, the networking events where you drink expensive wine and pretend to care about other people's portfolios. She was good at it. I'll give her that. Polished. Always knew what to say, how to smile, when to laugh at someone's terrible joke about big data. I was the other half, the quiet one, COO. I built the systems, managed the infrastructure, kept everything running while she collected the applause. I didn't mind. I'm not built for spotlights. Give me a server room and a problem to solve, and I'm happy. Or I was happy. Past tense. That's the thing about betrayal. It recontextualizes everything. Makes you wonder if you were ever happy at all, or if you were just too stupid to notice the knife sliding between your ribs. The conference room where Harold was currently sweating through his expensive shirt was on the 3rd floor of our building. Glass walls. Open concept. Very modern, very Boston tech scene. You could see right into the bullpen, where 20-something developers hunched over standing desks, mainlining cold brew and pretending stock options were the same as actual money. I stood near the door, arms crossed, watching Harold's fingers fly across his laptop. Olivia sat at the head of the table, legs crossed, one heel dangling from her foot. Expensive shoes. Everything about Olivia was expensive these days. The shoes, the suit, the highlights in her hair that cost more than most people's monthly grocery bill. "How long is this going to take?" she asked, not looking at me. She hadn't looked at me directly in weeks, maybe months. "As long as it takes," Harold said. He had that accountant voice. Dry, precise, like he was reading tax code out loud. Olivia sighed. She was good at sighing. It was one of her things. That and the way she'd tap her phone screen with one manicured nail when she was annoyed. Tap, 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 like she was trying to physically push her impatience through the glass. "Dan's been moving money," she said. Not to me, to Harold. About me. "I know he has. He thinks I'm stupid." I didn't say anything. That was my strategy lately. Silence. Let her fill the void with assumptions. Let her think she was winning. Harold cleared his throat. "Mrs. Keller, I need to access the backup server. Do you have the credentials?" "Dan does," Olivia said, still not looking at me. "Actually," I said, and she flinched, just a little, like she'd forgotten I was there. "The credentials are in the system admin docs, 3rd drawer of my desk. Harold's welcome to them." I pulled out my phone, made a show of checking email. Casual, unbothered. Inside, my heart was doing that thing where it beats too hard, like it's trying to bruise your ribs from the inside. Harold excused himself, left the conference room. His footsteps echoed in the hallway. Olivia and I sat in silence. The air conditioning hummed. Somewhere in the building, someone laughed. "You don't have to be here," Olivia said finally. "It's my company, too." For now. There it was, the blade, right out in the open, She wasn't even pretending anymore. "The buyout offer is generous," she continued. "You should take it." I looked at her then, really looked. When did she get so cold? Or had she always been this way and I just didn't notice? Her eyes were the same light brown they'd always been, but there was something else there now, something calculating. "Generous," I repeated. "Very. It undervalues my stake by about 40%. That's your opinion. That's math." She smiled, not a nice smile. Math is subjective when lawyers get involved. Harold came back before I could respond. He had a folder of printouts and a slightly dazed expression. He sat down, opened his laptop, started typing. The clicking of keys was the only sound. Then he stopped. His face did something interesting. Went from focused to confused to alarmed in about 3 seconds. "What?" Olivia leaned forward. "What is it?" Harold's hand hovered over the mouse. He clicked something. Read. Clicked again. His jaw tightened. "Harold!" Olivia's voice had an edge now. "What did you find?" "I need a minute." "You don't have a minute. What did you find?" He looked at her, then at me, then back at his screen. "Mrs. Keller, these backup logs..." "Yes?" "They show... There's documentation here of changes to financial projections, internal forecasts, several instances where numbers were adjusted." "Adjusted how?" "Downward. Specifically, adjustments that would make Mr. Keller's equity appear less valuable while inflating the value of newer executive compensation packages." Olivia's face didn't move. She was good at that too, controlling her expressions. "I don't understand what you're saying." "I'm saying someone has been manipulating internal documentation. Not illegal exactly, but ethically questionable. And there's more." "More?" Harold swallowed. "Timestamps. These changes correlate with Mr. Brent Lawson's access logs. He's been in these files repeatedly over the past 4 months. Brent. There it was, out loud, in the room. The name I'd been avoiding, the third point in our little triangle of dysfunction. Olivia's heel hit the floor. "That's ridiculous." "It's right here," Harold said. He turned his laptop around, showed her the screen. Rows of data, timestamps, user IDs, the boring backbone of every betrayal. She stared at it. Her neck flushed red, that thing that happened when she was angry or embarrassed or both. "This doesn't mean anything." "It means," I said quietly, "that you and your boyfriend have been cooking the books to squeeze me out." The word hung there. Boyfriend. I'd never said it out loud before. Hadn't even really let myself think it in clear terms. But watching Harold's face go pale, watching those logs scroll across his screen, something broke loose inside me. Some last piece of denial. Olivia stood up fast enough that her chair rolled backward and hit the glass wall with a thunk. "Don't be paranoid." "Paranoid is thinking everyone's against you. I'm just reading data." "You're inventing conspiracies because you can't handle." Harold made a small noise. Might have been a cough. Might have been horror. Olivia's mouth opened, closed. "Get out." "It's my company." "Get out." I stood up slowly, picked up my phone, looked at Harold. "Send me a copy of those logs." "He will not." "I will," Harold said. He wasn't looking at Olivia anymore. It's proper procedure for both parties to have access to audit findings." Olivia's face did something complicated. "You're fired." "You can't fire me," Harold said. "I'm an external consultant, and I'm ethically obligated to disclose financial irregularities to all stakeholders." "There are no irregularities." "Ma'am," Harold said, and his voice was gentle, which somehow made it worse. "You might want to sit down." I left before she could respond, walked through the bullpen with my head up and my heart hammering. A few developers glanced up as I passed. Nina from HR was in her office, door half open, and she gave me a look I couldn't quite read. Sympathy? Curiosity? I took the stairs instead of the elevator, 4 flights down to the parking garage. The stairwell was concrete and fluorescent lights, and that particular echo that makes every footstep sound lonely. My car was on level B2, a Tesla because Olivia insisted we needed to maintain appearances. I'd wanted a truck, something practical, but that was before I understood that everything was about appearances. The car, the apartment, the company, the marriage, all of it was just set dressing for Olivia's version of success. I sat in the driver's seat and didn't turn on the engine. Just sat there in the dim garage, breathing, thinking. Harold had found exactly what I'd known he'd find, because I'd made sure it was findable. I'd spent the last 3 weeks cleaning up my own digital footprint while making sure Olivia's and Brent's were crystal clear. Every login, every file change, every manipulative little adjustment they'd made to squeeze me out and pad Brent's compensation package. I'd known she was cheating, had known for 2 months. The signs were all there if you bothered to look. The late nights that didn't match project timelines. The hotel charges on our corporate card that didn't align with any client meetings. The way she smiled at her phone when she thought I wasn't watching. And Brent. God. Brent Lawson, ex-consultant, mid-30s, gym body, expensive suits, and the kind of confidence that comes from never actually failing at anything important. She'd hired him 6 months ago, head of growth. I'd thought it was a good move at the time. He had the credentials, the connections. He talked a good game. I hadn't realized he was playing a different game entirely. My phone buzzed. Email from Harold. Attachment. Server backup logs, internal.zip. I opened it on my phone, scrolled through the data I already knew was there. Everything documented, time-stamped, irrefutable. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. I'd learned something in 8 years of running a company. Evidence is only useful if you know how to use it. You can have all the data in the world, but without leverage, without strategy, it's just noise. Olivia thought she was pushing me out, thought she and Brent could lowball me on the buyout, take control of SignalVista, and ride off into their perfectly curated sunset. She didn't know about the prenup clause, the one we'd revised 3 years ago when my parents invested in the company, the one with the morality provisions and the conflict of interest triggers. She'd signed it without reading it carefully. Too confident, too sure of herself. I started the car, drove out of the garage into gray Boston afternoon light. Traffic was terrible, but I didn't mind. I needed time to think. At a red light, I pulled up my lawyer's number, Maya Brooks, divorce attorney, corporate law specialist, and the only person who'd looked at me like I wasn't crazy when I first started suspecting what Olivia was doing. Dan, she answered on the second ring, tell me you have something. I have something. Good. My office. 1 hour. The light turned green. Behind me, someone honked. I drove. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? Maya's office was in the financial district, tucked into a building that was all granite and glass, and the kind of understated expense that screamed old money. The lobby had that new building smell, like fresh paint and cleaning solution and ambition. I took the elevator to the 14th floor. The doors opened onto a reception area with cream-colored walls and abstract art that probably cost more than my first car. A receptionist who looked barely out of college smiled at me with teeth too white to be real. Mr. Keller, Ms. Brooks is expecting you. Conference room 2. I knew the way. I'd been here 3 times in the past month, each visit more surreal than the last. The first time, I'd brought the divorce papers Olivia had served me. The second, we'd gone through the shareholder agreements. The third, I'd admitted what I suspected about Brent. This time, I had proof. Maya was already in the conference room, laptop open, legal pad covered in her precise handwriting. She was late 30s, dark hair pulled back, wearing one of those suits that managed to be both professional and vaguely intimidating. She looked up when I walked in. You look terrible. Nice to see you too. I'm serious. When's the last time you slept? I sat down across from her. I slept. Liar. She closed her laptop. Show me what you have. I pulled out my phone, forwarded Harold's email to her. While she downloaded the attachment, I stared at the conference room table. Expensive wood, polished to a mirror finish. I could see my reflection in it, distorted and dark. Maya opened the files. Her eyes moved fast, scanning. She was good at this, quick, thorough. After 5 minutes, she sat back. This is gold. It's something. It's everything, Dan. They were manipulating internal forecasts to devalue your stake. That's not quite fraud, but it's damn close. And if we can tie it to the affair, we can. Hotel charges, travel logs. I've got server data showing Brent's laptop connecting to Olivia's home network at 2 a.m. on multiple occasions. Maya's eyebrows went up. You've been busy. I'm a data guy. It's what I do. This goes beyond data collection. This is strategic. Is that your lawyer way of saying I'm obsessed? No. It's my lawyer way of saying you're thinking clearly for the first time since this started. She leaned forward. Dan, this changes everything. The prenup. I know. No, I don't think you do. The revised prenup from 3 years ago has a morality clause. If we can prove workplace misconduct, Olivia's having an affair with a direct report. That's textbook misconduct. Exactly, and the shareholder agreement has conflict provisions. If either co-founder engages in behavior that creates significant legal or reputational risk for the company, they forfeit voting control in contested scenarios. Maya smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who'd found a loophole in a contract and intended to drive a truck through it. She signed this, Dan. She gave you the weapon. She forgot about it. Even better. I rubbed my face. My hands smelled like coffee and stress. Walk me through it. What happens next? Next, we build the case. We need clean documentation. Nothing that makes you look vindictive or unhinged. Everything has to be defensible, above board. You're the wronged party here, and we keep it that way. I'm not trying to be vindictive. Maya gave me a look. Dan. Okay, maybe a little vindictive. A little vindictive is fine. A lot vindictive gets messy in court. She pulled up a document on her laptop. Here's what I'm thinking. We gather everything. The financial manipulation, the affair evidence, the policy violations. We present it to the board and the major investors. Not as an attack, as a concern about company stability and fiduciary responsibility. They won't care about the affair. They'll care about liability. They'll care about a head of department in an undisclosed romantic relationship with his direct superior. That's an HR nightmare. And they'll definitely care about financial projections being manipulated. Elliot Crane will freak out. Elliot Crane is obsessed with optics. If we frame this right, he'll push for Olivia to step back before it becomes public. I thought about Elliot. Older VC, old money. The kind of investor who wore boat shoes to board meetings and talked about fiduciary responsibility the way other people talked about religion. He'd backed SignalVista early, and he treated it like his personal reputation was on the line every time we made a decision. When do we present? Not yet. First, we need to make sure we have everything. No surprises. Once we go public with this, there's no walking it back. Maya closed her laptop. Which brings me to something I need to ask you. What? How did you get access to all this data? I'm the COO. It's literally my job. I know that. But some of this, the hotel charges, the home network logs, that feels personal, beyond your professional scope. I met her eyes. Everything I accessed legally. I didn't hack anything. I didn't break any laws. That's not what I asked. It's the answer you're getting. We stared at each other. Maya broke first, shaking her head. Fine, just be careful. The line between justified and obsessive is thinner than you think. Noted. She stood up, walked to the window. 14 floors below, the city moved. Cars and people and all the tiny dramas playing out in parallel. Can I ask you something personal? You're my lawyer. Everything's personal. Do you still love her? The question hit harder than I expected. I sat there, thinking about Olivia. The woman I'd married 9 years ago. The woman I'd built a company with, shared a bed with, made plans with. Did I still love her? I don't know, I said finally. I don't think I know her anymore. Or maybe I never did. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Maya turned back from the window. The reason I ask is because this is going to get ugly. Divorce always does. But when you add in business and infidelity and public exposure, people get hurt. I need to know you're ready for that. I'm ready. Are you? Because there's a difference between wanting justice and wanting revenge. Maybe I want both. Dan. She tried to steal my company. She's sleeping with one of our executives. She served me divorce papers and a lowball buyout like I'm some intern she can pay off and forget. So yeah, maybe this is about more than just justice. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, just remember that once we start this, we can't stop it. It's going to get messy. People will take sides. The company might suffer. Are you prepared for that? Are you asking as my lawyer or as someone who gives a damn? Both. I stood up, walked to the window next to her. The city looked small from up here. Manageable. Like you could hold it all in your hands if you just had the right angle. I spent 8 years building SignalVista, 8 years coding and planning and solving problems while Olivia smiled for cameras. I'm not letting her take that away because she got bored and decided to trade up. This isn't about the company. No, it's about not being the guy who gets screwed over and just takes it. Maya studied my face. Whatever she saw there must have satisfied her because she nodded. All right, let's burn it down. I left her office 20 minutes later with a plan and a timeline. 2 weeks to gather everything. Document every login, every expense report, every suspicious meeting. Make it airtight. Then we'd go to the board. In the elevator down, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Olivia. No messages, just calls. That meant she was angry. When Olivia was angry, she didn't text. She called and called until you answered so she could yell at you in real time. I didn't call back. The lobby was emptying out. End of the workday. People in suits flooding toward the exits, heading home to their normal lives, their normal problems. I wondered what that felt like, to have regular problems, like traffic or what to make for dinner or whether to watch Netflix or go to bed early. My problems involved forensic accountants and affair timelines and the slow, creeping realization that my wife was a stranger. I drove back to the apartment, our apartment. The place we'd bought 3 years ago when SignalVista started making real money. Olivia had insisted on the building. Top floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the harbor. It cost a fortune and felt like a hotel. I'd never liked it. The elevator up was glass-walled. You could see the building's atrium as you rose. Expensive trees planted in expensive pots, all of it carefully designed to look natural and effortless. Nothing was effortless. That was the secret nobody talked about. Everything that looked easy cost someone something. The apartment was dark when I walked in. Olivia wasn't home, probably at the office or with Brent, or at some networking thing where she'd smile and charm and pretend her life was perfect. I dropped my keys on the kitchen counter. The sound echoed. Too much space. Too much emptiness. I pulled out my laptop, sat on the couch, and opened a new document. Titled it, Options. Then I started writing. Every piece of leverage I had, every angle I could work, every weakness in their plan. By the time I finished, it was after midnight. The document was 3 pages long. It covered financial, legal, and social approaches. It had contingencies and backups for the backups. I saved it, encrypted it, backed it up to 3 different locations. Then I sat in the dark apartment and let myself think about what I was becoming. A year ago, I would have been horrified at the idea of destroying someone's career and reputation. Would have thought it was cruel, excessive. Now I just wanted to make sure I did it thoroughly. Maya had asked if I was ready for this to get ugly. I was ready. 2 months later, something broke. I was in a meeting with investors. Normal stuff. Quarterly review, growth projections, all the boring machinery of running a company. Elliot was there, 2 other board members, a potential new investor named Richard something or other who kept asking questions about our organizational stability post-transition. Code for, "Is your company still a disaster after you fired your wife and her boyfriend?" I was giving my standard answer, calm, confident, backed by numbers, when my phone buzzed. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again. "Excuse me," I said. Checked the screen. 5 texts, all from Brent. "We need to talk. I'm serious. I know where you are. I'm coming there now." I stood up. "I need to step out for a moment." Elliot frowned. "Dan, 5 minutes." I left the conference room, went to my office, called Brent. He answered immediately. "Finally. What do you want?" "To talk, face to face." "We have nothing to talk about." "Yes, we do. I'm in your parking garage, level B2. Come down or I'm coming up." "Brent." 5 minutes. Then I start making noise. He hung up. I stood there, heart pounding. This was stupid, dangerous even, but if he made a scene here in the building with investors upstairs... I took the elevator down. The garage was dim, fluorescent lights humming, concrete columns casting shadows. Brent was leaning against his car. Different car than before, some kind of rental. He looked bad, unshaved, eyes red-rimmed. "Thanks for coming down," he said. "Say what you need to say." "You destroyed my life. You destroyed your own life." "No, you did, systematically. You planned it, executed it, enjoyed it." I didn't deny it. "I lost everything," Brent continued. His voice cracked. "My job, my reputation, my apartment. I had to move back in with my parents. Do you know how that feels? Should I care? Jesus Christ. You really have no soul, do you? You slept with my wife. You tried to push me out of my own company. You manipulated financial documents and destroyed people's careers, and now you want me to feel bad for you? I want you to take responsibility. For what? For your choices? For your affair? For your greed?" He pushed off from the car, stepped closer. "You could have handled this differently, could have fired me quietly, could have kept it professional. Instead, you made it personal. You made sure everyone knew, made sure I'd never work in this industry again." "Yes, I did." "Why?" "Because you tried to take everything from me, so I took everything from you." He laughed, harsh, bitter. "At least you're honest about being a monster." "I'm not a monster. I'm just someone who fights back." "No, you're someone who became the thing you hated. Someone who destroys people and calls it justice." We stared at each other. The garage was silent, except for the hum of lights and the distant sound of traffic. "Are you done?" I asked. "No. I want you to know something. Olivia didn't deserve what you did to her. She cheated on me. So what? People cheat. Relationships end. You didn't have to destroy her entire life. She tried to destroy mine. Because you two grew apart. Because she was unhappy. That doesn't justify... She manipulated financial documents to squeeze me out. She undervalued my equity. She turned my own company against me while sleeping with you. That's not growing apart. That's betrayal. And you responded with total war. Yes. And you don't regret it. I thought about that, about the past 6 months, the empty apartment, the sleepless nights, the anonymous texts, Nina leaving, Tom leaving, half the team leaving. "No," I said, "I don't regret it." Brent shook his head. "Then you're lost." "Maybe. But I'm still here, still standing, still running my company." "Where are you?" He flinched like I'd hit him. You're a real piece of shit, you know that? Yeah, I know. He got in his car, slammed the door, the engine roared to life. I stood there while he reversed out of the space, while he drove toward the exit, while the taillights disappeared up the ramp. Then I just stood there in the empty garage. My hands were shaking. I went back upstairs, back to the conference room, apologized for the interruption, finished the meeting. The investors seemed satisfied. Richard, whatever his name was, agreed to move forward. Handshakes all around. When they left, Elliot stayed behind. Everything okay? Fine. Dan, you left in the middle of a pitch meeting. That's not like you. Personal emergency. What kind of emergency? I met his eyes. The kind that's handled now. He studied me. You're different lately. More closed off. I'm busy. The company's fine. I'm worried about you. Don't be. Too late. He leaned back in his chair. Look, I know the past few months have been hell. The divorce, the restructuring, taking over as CEO, that's a lot for anyone. I can handle it. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you don't have to handle it alone. I'm fine, Elliot. That's what Olivia used to say, right before everything fell apart. That stung more than it should have. I'm not Olivia. No, you're not. But you're starting to have that same look she had. Like you're holding everything together through sheer force of will, and if you let go for even a second, it'll all collapse. Maybe that's what it takes. He sighed. Maybe. Or maybe you need to take a break. Take some time off. Recharge. Can't. Too much to do. Dan, I appreciate the concern. I do. But I'm fine, really. He didn't look convinced, but he nodded. Okay, just remember that winning isn't worth much if you lose yourself in the process. He left. I sat alone in the conference room, looked out at the city. Was he right? Was I losing myself? No. I'd already lost myself, months ago, somewhere between discovering the affair and destroying them both. This version of me, the cold, calculating, ruthless version, this was who I was now, and I had to be okay with that. I went back to my office, worked until midnight, drove home, slept poorly, woke up and did it again. That was the rhythm now. Work, sleep, work. An endless cycle of productivity that kept me from thinking too hard about what I'd become. The anonymous texts kept coming. You can run, but you can't hide. Every villain tells himself he's the hero. How long until you can't recognize yourself in the mirror? I stopped reading them, just deleted them automatically. 3 weeks after Brent showed up at the garage, Olivia called me. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. What do you want? Brent came to see you. So? So he called me after. He was upset. Not my problem. Dan, listen to me. You need to let this go. Let what go? It's over. You're gone. He's gone. I won. That's what I mean. You won. It's done. But you're still punishing us, still making sure we suffer. I'm not doing anything. You had him blacklisted. I know you did. Every job he applies for, every interview, somehow they find out about SignalVista, about the affair, about the termination. That's not my fault. Tech is a small world. People talk. People talk because you made sure they would. I didn't deny it. And me. Do you know how many board positions I've been rejected from? How many consulting contracts fell through because someone on the selection committee happened to know someone at SignalVista? Again, not my fault. Yes, it is. You're systematically destroying any chance we have at rebuilding our careers. You destroyed your own chances when you decided to betray me. Jesus, don't you see what you've become? I see exactly what I've become. Someone who doesn't get screwed over without consequences. No, you've become someone who can't let go. Someone who's so consumed by revenge that it's eating you alive. I sleep fine at night. Liar. We sat in silence, phone line crackling slightly. Dan, she said finally, softer. We used to love each other. That was a long time ago. It was 18 months ago. Feels like a lifetime. Doesn't it, though? She laughed sadly. I've been seeing a therapist. Did you know that? No. She says I have patterns, that I push people away when I get scared, that I sabotage good things because I don't think I deserve them. Am I supposed to feel sorry for you? No, I'm just explaining. Not excusing. Explaining. Why? Because I thought maybe if you understood. I understand perfectly. You got bored. You wanted something new. You thought you could have it all without consequences. You were wrong. That's not... Goodbye, Olivia. I hung up, sat in my office, stared at the phone. Somewhere deep down, a small voice whispered that she was right, that I'd become obsessed, that I couldn't let go. I ignored it, because letting go meant admitting I'd gone too far, meant acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, I'd become the villain in this story, and I wasn't ready to admit that. Not yet. The company threw a party, 8-month anniversary of the restructuring, Elliot's idea. Show the team we're stable, he'd said. Show investors we're thriving. I didn't want to go, but as CEO, I didn't have a choice. So there I was, in a rented event space, expensive caterers, open bar, everyone smiling and networking and pretending this was all normal. New employees who didn't know the history, old employees who'd survived it. All of them trying to move forward while I stood in the corner nursing a whiskey and wishing I was anywhere else. You look miserable. I turned. Maya. She'd come straight from another meeting, still in her lawyer uniform, severe suit, hair pulled back. I am miserable. At least you're honest. She gestured to the bartender, ordered wine. How are you holding up? Everyone keeps asking me that. Because everyone's worried. I'm fine. Dan. What? She took her wine, sipped it. You're not fine. You haven't been fine for months, maybe longer. I won, remember? I got the company. I got everything I wanted. Did you, though? I didn't answer that. Look, Maya said. As your lawyer, I'm thrilled. You fought back. You won. Clean victory. But as someone who gives a damn, I'm concerned. About what? About the fact that you're still fighting. The war's over, Dan. Olivia's gone. Brent's gone. But you're still strategizing, still plotting, still making sure they can't rebuild. They tried to destroy me. And you destroyed them back. Thoroughly. Completely. It's done. Is it? She studied me. What does that mean? Nothing. Dan, I said nothing. We stood in silence. Around us, the party continued. Laughter, music, all the sounds of people having a good time. I'm worried about you, Maya said finally. Don't be. Too late. She finished her wine, set the glass down. You're my client, my friend, and I've seen what revenge does to people. It eats them alive. I'm not. You are. You won the war, but you can't stop fighting, and eventually you're going to run out of enemies. Then what? I didn't have an answer for that. Maya left, went to network with other lawyers and investors. I stayed in my corner. An hour later I left, drove home. The apartment was dark and empty as always. I poured myself another drink, sat on the couch, looked at my phone. The anonymous texts had stopped 3 weeks ago, just stopped. No explanation, no final message. I should have been relieved. Instead, I was unsettled, like I'd lost something. Some external voice telling me what I already knew. I opened my laptop, pulled up my evidence folders, looked at all those files, all that documentation. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I opened my personal email, the one I'd had since college, the one almost nobody used anymore. There was a message from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line: Final thoughts. I opened it. Dan, I'm the person who's been texting you. The anonymous one. Bet you've been wondering who I am. Truth is, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I've been watching. Watching you spiral. Watching you become exactly what you fought against. Olivia wasn't a good person. Neither was Brent. They betrayed you. They deserved consequences. But what you did went beyond consequences. You systematically destroyed two people. Made sure they'd never recover. Made sure everyone they met would know their worst moment. That's not justice. That's obsession. You think you won, but look at your life. Look at your empty apartment, your empty office, your empty days. You got the company. You got revenge. But what did you lose? I'm not going to text anymore. I said what I needed to say, but here's my last piece of advice. Let it go. Not for them, for you. Because the person you've become, he's not worth it. A concerned observer. I read it 3 times. Then I closed the laptop. Sat in the dark. The person was right. About all of it. But knowing that and changing it were different things. 3 days before the company gala. The big event Olivia had planned months ago. Back when she thought she'd still be CEO. Back when she thought she'd be on stage accepting some industry award. Now I'd be the one on stage. Accepting the award, giving the speech, smiling for photos while investors patted themselves on the back for backing SignalVista. I should have canceled it. Should have just sent regrets. But Elliot insisted. It's good PR, he'd said. Shows stability. So the gala was happening, at some overpriced hotel ballroom, with some overpriced catering and some carefully curated guest list that definitely didn't include Olivia or Brent. I was working late, 3 days before the event, going over my speech for the 1,000th time. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. Hello? Dan, it's me. Olivia. I should have hung up, should have blocked the number, but curiosity paralyzed me. What do you want? I heard about the gala. And I wanted to wish you luck. I waited for the other shoe to drop. The threat, the manipulation, something. It didn't come. That's it? I asked. That's it. Good luck. I mean it. Why? She sighed. Because I'm tired, Dan. I'm tired of fighting. Tired of being angry. Tired of everything. Join the club. Yeah, I bet. Pause. How are you? Why do you care? I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just making conversation because it's 3 a.m. and I can't sleep and you're the only person who'd understand why. I looked at the time. She was right. 3 a.m. You can't sleep either, she said. Statement, not question. No, because you won, but it doesn't feel like winning. Something like that. Yeah, I know that feeling. We sat in silence, phone line humming. I saw Brent last week, she said finally. How is he? Broken. He's working at some startup in San Francisco, entry level, making 1/3 of what he made at SignalVista, living in a studio apartment, riding the bus to work. Good. Is it though? Is that really what you wanted? Yes. Liar. You don't know what I want. I was married to you for 9 years. I know you better than anyone. You don't know me at all. If you did, you wouldn't have done what you did. That's fair. Another pause. Dan? What? Do you ever think about what we could have been if we'd just talked? If I'd been honest about being unhappy instead of having an affair? If you'd been honest about feeling sidelined instead of plotting revenge? Every day. Me too. I closed my eyes, rubbed my face. Why are you calling me, Olivia? Because I'm scared. Of what? Of becoming what you are. Someone who's so consumed by what happened that they can't move forward. Someone who won but doesn't know what to do with victory. I'm moving forward. Are you? Really? Yes. Then why are you still making sure Brent and I can't get jobs? Why are you still whispering in the right ears? Still making sure everyone knows what we did? Because you deserve it. Maybe. Probably. But at what cost to you? I didn't answer. The gala is in 3 days, she said. You're going to get up on stage, accept some award, give some speech about leadership and integrity and company values, and everyone will applaud. But will any of it mean anything? It means I won. No, it means you survived. There's a difference. What do you want me to say, Olivia? That I'm sorry? That I regret what I did? I don't. You betrayed me. You tried to steal my company. You humiliated me, so I destroyed you. That's fair. Nothing about this is fair. For any of us. Then why'd you do it? Because I was stupid. Because I was bored. Because I thought I deserved more and didn't know how to ask for it without blowing everything up. Well, you blew it up. We both did. You just had better aim. She hung up. I sat there with the phone in my hand. 3 a.m. Dark apartment, empty office, upcoming gala where I'd pretend everything was perfect. This was my life now. I went back to my speech. Read it again. It was good, professional, hit all the right notes. It was also completely hollow. But that didn't matter. All that mattered was the appearance of success, the narrative of the betrayed founder who fought back and won. Reality could be whatever I needed it to be. 2 days before the gala, I got a call from Nina. I heard you're speaking at the event, she said. Yeah, unfortunately. I wanted to let you know something, off the record. Okay. There's been talk, among the people who left, about doing something, making a statement. My stomach dropped. What kind of statement? I don't know exactly, but they're angry. They think you pushed Olivia and Brent out for personal reasons. Made the company unstable, cost them their jobs. I didn't cost them anything. They left voluntarily. That's not how they see it. They see someone who cared more about revenge than about the company. That's not true. Isn't it? I didn't respond. Look, Nina said. I'm not trying to pile on. I just thought you should know. In case they show up. In case they try something. Like what? Protest? Disruption? I don't know. But security should probably be aware. Thanks for the heads up. Dan? Yeah? For what it's worth. I hope the gala goes well. I hope you get to enjoy your victory. Thanks. She hung up. I sat there thinking about protesters, about disruptions, about all the people who'd left SignalVista in the past 6 months, about the cost of winning. That night, I couldn't sleep at all. Just lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Maya's words echoed in my head. You won the war, but you can't stop fighting. Olivia's words. You survived. There's a difference. The anonymous emailer. What did you lose? All of them circling the same truth I didn't want to face. I'd won. But at what cost? The morning of the gala, I woke up early, got to the office by 6 a.m., went through my usual routine, email, calls, problems. Around noon, I went home to change, put on my best suit, the expensive one Olivia had made me buy for investor meetings. I looked at myself in the mirror, barely recognized the person looking back. 8 months ago, I'd been an underdog, a victim, someone fighting for survival. Now I was, what? A CEO? A victor? A villain? All of the above, probably. My phone buzzed. Text from Maya. Ready for tonight? As ready as I'll ever be. You'll do great. Just remember to smile. I'll try. That's all anyone can ask. I drove to the hotel, arrived early. The ballroom was being set up. Tables, lights, stage with a podium. This was where it would happen. The culmination of everything. My victory lap. So why did it feel like a funeral? By 7 p.m., the ballroom was full. 200 people, investors, employees, industry leaders, all of them in expensive clothes, drinking expensive wine, pretending they cared about SignalVista's success. I worked the room, shook hands, made small talk, smiled until my face hurt. Elliot found me near the bar. You look miserable. I'm fine. Stop saying that. You're not fooling anyone. Then what do you want me to say? That you're nervous, that you're human, something real. I'm nervous. Better. Now smile like you mean it when the photographer comes around. The dinner was tedious. Rubber chicken, boring speeches, an award for leadership excellence that felt like a participation trophy. Then it was my turn. I walked up to the stage, stood at the podium, looked out at 200 faces. Somewhere in the back, I saw Tom. He'd come, despite everything, despite leaving. Near the front, Elliot and the other board members, Maya at a side table, all of them waiting to hear what I'd say. I pulled out my speech, the one I'd written and rewritten 100 times. Started reading. 8 months ago, SignalVista faced a crisis. Leadership challenges, internal conflicts, questions about our future. My voice sounded hollow, like someone else was speaking. But through strategic restructuring and renewed focus on our core values, I kept reading, hit all the talking points, stability, innovation, team resilience. It was all bullshit, every word. Halfway through, I stopped, looked up from the paper, out at the audience. You know what? I said. This is boring. All of it. Confused murmurs. Elliot's face went pale. The truth is, I didn't save this company. I destroyed 2 people to keep it. My wife, her lover. I systematically ruined their lives. Made sure they'd never recover. Made sure everyone knew what they did. The room went silent, and I told myself it was justice, that they deserved it, that they betrayed me first. But really, I paused. Really, I was just angry, hurt, and I wanted them to hurt more. Maya stood up from her table. Dan, I'm not done. I looked back at the audience. Everyone here thinks I'm some kind of hero, the betrayed founder who fought back. But I'm not. I'm just someone who won ugly, who prioritized revenge over everything else, including the company, including the people who worked here. I saw Tom in the back. He was nodding slightly. Half our engineering team left because I made this place toxic. Good people, talented people. They left because they saw what I became and wanted no part of it. Elliot was making frantic gestures. Cut it. Stop talking. But I couldn't stop now. So here's the truth. I won. I got the company. I got my revenge. But I lost. I paused. I lost everything that mattered. My marriage, my employees, my self-respect. And I'm standing here accepting an award for leadership when the truth is I don't deserve it. None of it. The silence was deafening. I wanted you all to know that. Before you applaud, before you celebrate. I wanted you to know exactly who you're celebrating. I stepped away from the podium, walked off the stage. The ballroom erupted, not in applause, in chaos. People standing, talking. Elliot rushing toward me. What the hell was that? He hissed. The truth. You just destroyed your reputation. Good. It was built on lies anyway. Maya reached me. Dan, we need to do damage control. No. What? I said no. I'm done with damage control. Done with spin. Done with pretending. You're in shock. Let's go somewhere quiet. I'm not in shock. I'm finally thinking clearly. I pushed through the crowd. People tried to stop me, talk to me, get a statement. I ignored them all. Got to the elevator. Hit the button for the parking garage. The doors closed on chaos. In the garage, I found my car. Got in. Sat there. My hands were shaking. What had I just done? My phone started buzzing. Calls, texts, dozens of them. I turned it off. Started the car. Drove. Not to the apartment. Not to the office. Just drove. Through the city. Past the building where SignalVista was. Past the old apartment Olivia and I had lived in when we first started the company. Past all the landmarks of our history. I ended up at the harbor. Parked. Got out. Walked to the edge. Looked at the water. My phone was still off. The gala was probably still imploding. Elliot was probably having a stroke. Maya was probably calling every crisis management person she knew, and I was here, at the harbor, alone. But for the first time in months, I felt light. Not happy, not proud, just unburdened. I'd spent 8 months winning, destroying, fighting. Tonight I'd finally surrendered, not to Olivia, not to Brent, to the truth. I was the villain, the monster, the person who'd gone too far, and admitting it, publicly, humiliatingly, completely, felt better than any victory. My phone buzzed in my pocket, still off, but I could feel it, probably melting down with messages. I left it off, stood at the harbor until dawn, watching the water, watching the city wake up. Tomorrow I'd deal with the fallout, the board, the investors, the employees. Tomorrow I'd figure out what came next. But tonight, I just stood there, letting the truth wash over me, letting go of the fiction that I was the hero. I wasn't the hero. I never had been. I was just someone who'd fought dirty and won, and then had to live with what that meant. The sun came up over the harbor, orange and gold reflecting off the water. A new day, maybe a better one, or maybe not. But at least it would be honest. I turned away from the water, walked back to my car, drove toward whatever came next. Not a victor, not a villain. Just a man who'd finally stopped lying to himself. And that, somehow, felt like enough.